Hello, all, and welcome to another episode of Justin Reads, featured here on the Invictus stream. My name, of course, is Justin Thomas James, and join me as I take you on a journey to a realm even further beyond the limits of your imagination. I had to pause that. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Oh, just having some fun here with my hard drive of sound effects. That was Artificial Impacts, texture number 998. Sounds kind of cool. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay, if my sound is coming through. We've been dealing with some weird sound issues the past few streams, so let me know if I'm sounding crackly. If I am, I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to fix it. I would love to fix it. But hey, we got a few people in the chat. I'm going to say hello, might as well, if nobody has any issues with how I sound. We got Goosepool Giesingdor. Hello, Goosepool. You know, you remind me of an old friend of the Invictus stream. His name was Godpool. Different kind of pool. Cool guy. Looks kind of similar to that picture there. Oh, but you're not there. You're in the wilderness. Well, fine. If you watch this afterwards, you'll know that I miss you. Carly. Hello, Carly. Or River Greyfield, I must say. River Greyfield is your Chapters of the Undefeated character, yes. Wolfenlock. That's like the pop and lock, but you have to howl at the end of it. Ooh, ah, ooh, 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 ah, ooh, ow! I don't actually know how to pop and lock. Is that like... You have to bite your lower lip like that too? I do the pop and lock. Colin Burkhart, hello. We've moved up. Moving on up to the east side. I don't actually know that song very well. Yes, Abe Hughes is here. Wolfenlock. Oh, Wolfenlock has some questions. Ooh, maybe we can do a little Q&A session. The Real Heifer. Have I tried turning it off and back on again? No, but I tried watching the IT crowd, and that didn't help either. So if you guys wouldn't mind answering them, yes, I would be happy to. Shout out for Blood Shadow. Galen. I will shout out Blood Shadow. Sure, it's fucking Justin Reads. I do what I want. Hey, if you're out there, you're listening, check out Blood Shadow. I have no idea what it is, but a good buddy of mine recommends it. I think Blood Shadow, is that your book, Galen? Did you write a book called Blood Shadow? Yeah. Let us know what Blood Shadow is. Wolfenlock, what are your questions? What do you want to know? This is I can read and I can also inform, because I've played a few role-playing games in my day. Let's see, what does Colin Burkhart say? Screwy computer, so on mobile. Need a new SSD. Oh no. Well, don't do what I did and go into the computer store looking for just one thing and then end up buying an entire new computer. Don't do that. The wallet was not happy with me. Oops, wrong chat, said Carly. Were you in the wrong chat? Oh, there's other chat. Oh, there's another Justin Reads down here. Oh, I didn't know. I don't even know my way around our Discord. You know what? But let's just stick with the one that I've got at the stream. The stream, Justin Reads Fantasy. Have I tried turning it on back? Oh yeah, I read that already. It's my book. Use a pen name Enkeli Arn Robertson. Post it in the group. Very cool. Can you post a link here, and maybe I can read the first little bit of it? Still hoping for some requests. If you have any fantasy things that you'd like read, we don't have a lot of content tonight. I've got plenty of content, but I'm hoping that you guys will help fill up some of it. I just found bubble wrap. Will you indulge me? Oh, this is good bubble wrap too. Oh, I don't think my mic likes that, so I'm going to stop. But I'm going to have fun with that later. What kind of fantasy is it? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out in a little bit. It's on Barnes & Noble. Oh, dope. Oh, I like the formatting so far. Very, very professional. Very nice. All right. Well, looks like I'll be able to read the first chapter. Excellent. Well, it's really good to see you all here today. As you know, Harlan and Joe are in Allemagne, Deutschland, Germany, all three of those places at once, which is kind of the land of fantasy. That's where fantasy was born, in Germany, you could argue, with Strudelpeter and Hansel and Gretel. Yeah, Brothers Grimm. A lot of fantasy happening there. Maybe I could read some Brothers Grimm today, huh? Any favorite Brothers Grimm stories? Oh, they're creepy. They are creepy. The Brothers Grimm collecting the stories. Yeah, I could just read Brothers Grimm all day. Pardon me. So I'm a little tired tonight. So we'll see how long I am able to maintain my focus. I'm going to do my best. Do your best and forget the rest. That's what Tony Horton always likes to say. Yep. All right. Well, first things first. I think it's time for a sound effect. Why don't we go into Master Library? Ooh, Blast Drive 3.0. Whoa, science fiction. Let's listen to some science fiction sound effects. You ready? All right. This is what an airlock opening sounds like. Not bad. Air release. Oh yeah, so that'd be like if I'm in what am I doing? This is for the sci-fi stream. I shouldn't be using that. I should be doing the fantasy one. What is a fantasy? It'd be like nature, I guess. There's Blast Drive ambience, eh? Civilization soundscape? What is this? Oh, cool. Okay. All right. I'm going to play some ambience. This is like the beginning of the show. Okay, so Opera Hall, there's a break. I'll turn this down a bit. All right, so this is still the beginning of the show. We haven't actually started yet, but I'm here with the crowd of the Invictus stream. We came here to the Opera Hall where Justin's going to do some reading, and we've got Wolfenlock here, we got Colin Burkhart, we got Galen and Carly, and anybody else who's here. So yeah, we're gonna hopefully enjoy this show. I actually don't really know what is in the agenda today, but I think it's going to be something good. Oh wait, you hear that? Oh no, now you can't. I think I hear the orchestra is getting ready to tune. Oh, there's the tuning pitch. Okay, shh. This is the applause as we watch Justin enter the center of the stage. 10,000 people watching him. He's wearing a tuxedo, a penguin tuxedo, and he's bowing now. Someone threw a rose at him. Oh no, it hit him in the eye. I think he's. Oh yeah, okay, he's okay. All right, he's bowing again. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to use that eye. Okay, it looks like okay. He's pulling out a book. What's he going to read? What does he have in front of him? Okay. Okay, here we go. Blood Shadow. A Vera Shadow Mystery by Ankeli Arne Robertson. Chapter 1. Miss Skinner. I can still remember the day this whole thing started. It was a pleasant sunny afternoon. I had drawn the blinds and popped open my windows, allowing for a brisk breeze to blow through the office. The cream and olive wallpaper was peeling around the edges, and the door had been misaligned when some lug attached it to the hinges. You couldn't get it to stay shut unless you pulled up on the brass knob. A pane of frosted glass was set into the oaken exit. Bold lettering across the window read, Shadow Private Investigations. The radio was rebroadcasting the Corsair Tigers game from a couple of weeks ago. The Tigers were up 2 runs at the bottom of the 6th. I didn't care for baseball all that much. It was just something to pass the time. I was more of a football fan myself. I leaned back in my chestnut chair and propped my feet up atop the mahogany desk. I had found the thing in a back street in Rooktown. I couldn't believe myself when I found it. It was perfectly good, except for the ink stain on the corner. I liked the stain, gave the thing character. On top was a black rotary telephone. I hardly ever used the thing. I usually waited for someone to call me. Someone always did. The lamp was opposite the phone and was joined with the glass ashtray. A glass of whiskey was perched within easy reach. My thoughts drifted to my partner. Well, former partner, David Wolf. He was one of the best gumshoes money could buy. He retired, found himself a cute bird named Mary. She was a Lecanorn, or Mender, as most people called them. You know, healers. David bought an automobile service shop in Sabine. He sure did love his cars. Last I talked to him, he and Mary were trying to have kids. That was almost 5 months ago. When he had decided to retire from detective work, I got a smaller office. Not out of spite or anything. I just couldn't afford it. See, when you have 2 private dicks on a case, you can wring a bit more dough out of the client. I pulled a cigarette from the pack in my breast pocket, flipped open my lighter, and held the flame to the tip. The fire glowed against my red-tinged skin like the coals in a neglected fireplace. I puffed on the fag, and a wisp of smoke floated upwards, curling around the wine-colored horn nubs peeking out just above my hairline before being dispersed by the cross breeze. I took a deep draw and sighed as the warm cloud passed through my ruby lips. My tail, hanging off the side of the chair, flicked rhythmically as I relaxed. Some might call me devilkin, but I'm Jolfolk in polite company. There was a knock at the door. How'd you like that sound effect? It's open, I called. I quickly pulled my feet off the desk and smoothed my blouse. That's when she walked in. Now understand, usually I don't make scissors, though I'm not opposed to kissing fish. Nice. But this dame, if I had met her down at the bar after I dipped my bill a bit, you can go all in on me chatting up this chick. I gave her a once-over. She dressed conservatively, not like those round heels that you can find down in the Pearl District. Her gams would make any jasper swoon, and I felt my thumper quicken. She wore a muted cerulean dress and a matching jacket. Her tawny curls framed a beautiful and mature face. A handbag was slung over her shoulder, and a pair of black suede gloves were clutched in her finely manicured mitts. She tried to close the door, but it hung open. Here, let me get it. Please, have a seat, I said, getting up from my chair. As I stepped around her, I could smell jasmine and rose. She sat daintily in the leather-backed chairs positioned in front of my desk. Oh no, you can hear my dings! Leather-backed desk. She smoothed her skirts as I made sure the door was closed. I saw her eyes dart towards my diploma from St. Vincent's Academy, which hung next to a withering corkboard over a dark leather davenport. The davenport was another item I found in a back alley. It's amazing what those rich types throw away. A flat pillow, clad in white cotton with a red strip around the opening, was tossed haphazardly on the leather cushions, accompanied by a knit blanket. I turned off the radio before returning to my seat. Sorry about that. The damn thing never closes properly. What can I do you for, Miss
Skinner, Kathleen Skinner, but my friends call me Kat.
Her voice was like a babbling brook, bubbly and cheerful. She smiled as she talked, putting that perfect row of ivories on display. They made me think of my more defined canines. She held out her hand. Vera Shadow, Private Eye, I said, taking her hand. She had a surprisingly strong grip, which took me by surprise. Most twists don't give you a good shake. Their arms are usually like overcooked spaghetti. So, what can I do for you today? I asked, stamping out my cigarette.
I need you to find someone.
My eyebrow raised. Usually, when a dish comes in asking for me to find someone, it's because she thinks the lug she's hitched to has run off with some young frill. The dish's hunch is generally correct. I noticed her eyes dart to my piece, which was tucked into its holster that hung from my shoulders. It was an Arneson 45 Runecaster double-action revolver. In layman's terms, it's the style of gun that Leroy Lynn uses to fight outlaws in the flickers, and double-action means you don't need to cock the hammer every time you want to throw some pills. 45 was more powerful than the 38 the coppers would carry. Couple that with hex slinging. Hell, I bet it could take down an Aurochs. Don't quote me, though. Who are you looking for, Mrs. Skinner? I asked, leaning forward.
Miss, I'm not married,
she corrected. My apologies. She continued.
A student of mine disappeared a couple of days ago. See, I'm a professor down at the Dulwich Institute of Magic. Miss Morse hasn't been to class, and no one has seen her around campus.
How do you know she's not just run off with some husky? I asked, taking a sip from my pony glass.
She isn't that kind of girl. She would never do such a thing, she admonished.
How do you know? I leaned forward, resting my forearms on the rim of my desk. When I was in school, I knew tons of broads who ran off to shack up with their sugar daddies. Her nose wrinkled at my language and stiffened in her chair.
She's on scholarship. Her continued attendance to the school depends on her making good grades. I've seen how she studies. In fact, she's so focused she cut off her relationship with this young man she met during the summer once school started.
Now, how does a teach know that stuff? I questioned.
I'm her advisor. She often comes to me with more than just schoolwork. She's loner, in a way. She's comfortable talking with me.
Let me guess. You think, what's her name? Morse, did you say?
Violet Morse.
So, you think Violet has You think Violet has been kidnapped by some punk she broke up with? I challenged. Her hand jumped up to her kisser as a facade of terror washed over her.
I surely hope not. But it is one of my suspicions, she exclaimed.
If that's the case, why didn't you go to the cops instead of rashing me?
I did.
She withdrew a cigarette from her purse. I whipped out my lighter and lit the pill.
Thank you, she puffed. They gave me the same answer you did, and then they told me they'll put out a reader for people matching her description, but it could take weeks for something to show up. I can't wait that long. She's like a daughter to me.
I pulled another smoke out of my pocket and lit it up. Did you call her folks? I asked, the cigarette bouncing like a busty woman's tits as she walked.
Yes, they live upstate. They said they would give me a ring if Violet showed up.
I finished my hooch and set the glass on the desk.
I still don't see why I should... No. I still don't see why I should get involved with this, I commented. I don't usually work missing persons. I leave that to the cops. Please! I'll make it worth your while, she pleaded. I thought about that. The last time someone made it worth my while, I woke up in a hotel up in Liverum City with a pair of Joy Girls in the bed. All right, I'll take the case. But it's going to cost you 20 krones a day plus expenses. I watched her face. A double sawbuck a day was twice the scratch I usually charged for this type of case. I wanted to see how she would react. Surprisingly, her lips curled into a grin. I can give you 100 now to get you started, and I'll pay the rest when she's found. She pulled a C-note from her purse and slid it across the desk. Looks like you've got a private dick on the case. I grinned, nipping the bill off the table and holding it up to the light. Just a moment. I'd been slipped one too many split bills, and it had become a habit. Looks like your folding is in good order. What's the girl look like? You got a photo? I asked. Yes, of course. How could I forget? She reached into her handbag and passed me a photograph. The picture showed a young woman in her early 20s rather, with shoulder-length brunette curls. The dormitory's on the edge of campus, on the corner of South Bayville and Kenter Street. It's not easy to miss. I'll tell the guard you're coming. Guard? I'd never heard of a dormitory having a hard boy watching the door. Or, sorry, wrong emphasis. I'd never heard of a dormitory having a hard boy watching the door. There it is. The academy isn't co-ed. It's against the school's policy to have boys in the dorms. Besides, the city isn't a safe place for young girls to be left unprotected. All right. How can I get in touch with you? Oh, yes, of course. I'm the head of the psychic department at the Institute, but I'd prefer that you call my home number to get in touch with me, rather. Pardon me. D274-416-6388. I opened the middle desk drawer and withdrew my notebook and pen. What was the number again? She repeated it, and I scribbled the digits below her name. I also made sure I took note of the location of the dormitory. Thanks. I'll be sure to toss you a line if I find something, I said. When? When? When you find something, she said. I couldn't help but chuckle. Sure thing, Miss Skinner. She closed the clasp on her purse and stood. I matched her. Please, call me Kat, she requested. I agreed and showed her out. I couldn't help but watch her pendulum hips as she walked down the hall towards the stairs. As I ducked back into the office, a dull pain formed in my right knee. I had mussed it sprinting over uneven cobblestones, through alleys, and jumping fences. I hobbled over to the window and looked out toward the bay. Dark clouds loomed on the horizon. A storm was coming. And scene. Nicely done, Galen. That's awesome. That's really well written. Okay, this is the part. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Not that one. Oh, okay, that's good. Hold. This is Justin sitting on the stage. Humans. Okay, what about this? Anne's animals? Is that it? No. Come on. Ah, okay. Ah, there we go. Here it is. And that's the end of that chapter. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. That was written by... Hold on. Let me get the pseudo up again. Or the pen name, rather. Enkeli Arn Robertson. Otherwise known as Galen, if you're from the Invictus stream. And this is where the crowd goes, ah, ha, 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 ha. Justin, he's so funny. Yeah, awesome job, dude. So questions. How long did that take you to write? It's a really cool concept. I like,
It was very fun to narrate, first of all. I loved all of the 20s slang, or what felt like 20s slang. I don't know if it all was, if some of it was like made up fantasy slang, but it rolled off the tongue well. A year in total, that's pretty good. It's pretty long too, right? Yeah, I was very impressed with the writing style. It was a lot of fun. That sort of thing is a blast for narrators to sink their teeth into, because there's an obvious style associated with it. It's not just, it's got that film noir style. It's not just like, the narrator is, you have to add the character as the narrator. Like the words in this, they give off a lot of the character. It's not so much reliant on the narrator to pull it out of the script, right? It's there. Took about a year in total, about 50,000 words. You've been started working on second book, Star Shadow. Awesome. And how has the reception been? You've had it out. It's published with I said the name, I can't remember. Barnes and Noble. You've got it published. Do you have an Amazon page? I'm gonna look it up. Blood Shadow, Amazon. Blood Shadow. Kelly. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I did see the cover. Very nice. Is it you only have paperback, eh? Are you not doing Kindle? Ebooks? Kyanite Publishing. Cool. Ebooks are on the way? I don't see them on the Amazon page. Okay. Well, you definitely... Oh, there it is. Yeah, Kindle. Boom. It wasn't showing up for some reason, but there you have it. Well, awesome. Congratulations on getting that out there and moving. Published just last week. And what would you say the genre is? Well, how would you classify this book? I guess it's fantasy, urban fantasy. Hard-boiled fantasy. Thank you. There's so many subgenres of fantasy. There's steampunk, and that's it. That's all I can think of right now. But there are a bunch of subgenres. Hard-boiled fantasy. Love it. Very cool, very stylish. I'm very impressed. Good job. 50,000 words. That would be about a 5-hour, just over a 5-hour narration. If that's something you guys are considering down the road. Also down the road, I will say, so if you guys do decide to get it narrated, it might be more worthwhile to have it done as a box set once you have the first 2 books out, or if you get the whole trilogy out. I mean, you can put them up individually, but 5-hour audiobooks don't tend to sell as well as like 10-hour audiobooks, because if someone were to use a credit on it, it wouldn't be worth the money, because they spend like $15 a month on a credit. It was a 5-hour book when they could get like a 50-hour book with that same credit. So usually it's around the 10-hour mark that they're more likely to. So are there going to be, is it a trilogy? Are there going to be 3 books, or would there be more? Yes, definitely. No, I wouldn't narrate this, simply because it's a woman's narration. Having me as the narrator would pull people out of the experience, more than likely. There are some male narrators who can do it. Jeff Hayes, who I work with, has a fantastic, very convincing female voice. Very, very talented. It's still like, I listen to it and I'm still like, I think I'd just rather have a woman narrate this, even though it's like really, really like convincing. There's always just little cues that you can tell, and like I wouldn't be able to maintain an actual emulation of a woman's voice. It would just have to be like a slightly higher version of my voice for an entire narration. That's kind of draining. So, anyways, Mike the bassist is here. Mike Fazio. Hello, Mike. Welcome to the show. Welcome. Oh, the applause. The audience is happy to see you as well. Hold on. Here they are. Oh, they're very far away. It's a very distant audience. Wow, that doesn't even sound like applause. Let's try this one. There we go. These guys are closer. Yes. Welcome, Mike Fazio. Welcome. There we go. Greatest way to end the day. Lovely. Well, keep us posted, Galen, about where things develop with the book. And if anybody's out there, has liked what they heard, check it out. It's about $5 Canadian on Kindle. I don't know what the or maybe it's American. I'm not sure if I was on .com or .ca. .com. Okay, so it's $4.50 for the Kindle. 50,000 words. Community member wrote the whole thing. I think it's awesome. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I'm not. I've got to be shopping on Kindle.ca. Hold on. I am going to. Well, you know what? I was going to buy it now. Oh, there we go. Never mind. Sorry. Boom. All right. I have supported and Kelly. And I am now the proud owner of Blood Shadow, a Vera Shadow mystery. I won't lie. It's probably going to be a while before I actually have time to read it because I do so much other reading and pre-reading and all that stuff. But I will definitely have it in my library, and hopefully when I have a break in other stuff, I'll get to read the whole thing. Thank you, Galen. Now, what's next? Okay, I'm going to switch things up. We did one from the community. So now I'm going to do one from an author that I picked up. So this is by an author named Drew Hayes. You guys might have heard of a book called NPCs. It is you've heard of Lit RPG. Harlan wrote a Lit RPG, which I'm going to read a little bit of later. The one of the, I guess, forefathers of the genre of being trapped or going into a video game and playing a video game. Obviously, Tron is one. But as far as Lit RPG goes, where they're in an actual RPG, Drew Hayes was a big influence. Has anybody heard of him? Yes. Colin Burkhart has heard of him. Yeah. So Drew Hayes is a thing. And I'm going to read a short story. He's got a bunch of short stories. I might do a second one later because I've only read this one that I'm going to read to you. I haven't read the others, but tonight's a night of discovery, right? We're going to learn some things. Okay. Here we go. I wish there was like a hushing audience sound. There probably is, but I got to find them all. Domestic by Drew Hayes. The cloak of stolen shadows hung in the hall closet, sandwiched between a threadbare windbreaker and a peacoat used on rare occasions, the rare cold days offered up by the seasons. Due to the warm climate, there was no umbrella holder, because when even the most tumultuous storm's droppings were quickly dried away, one found little need for an umbrella. Had there been an umbrella holder, though, that is the place the god's blood sword would have found itself, at least initially. Over the years, it likely would have migrated to the same place it ended up anyway, a glass case in the hobby room along with some unimpressive attempts at homemade pottery. The same room also contained a framed degree on the wall, as well as drawings the children had scrawled. There was a mahogany desk with a computer that was out of date, but of course, any computer older than 3 weeks fits that qualification. When visitors would come into the room, they would compliment the desk and the pictures, pointedly refrain from mentioning the computer, and politely inquire about the 6-foot-tall sword with the blade colored in crimson so deep it flirted on black. Sometimes they would ask about the pottery too, though the subject was quickly changed after it became clear the pieces were displayed less out of pride and more as a gentle self-reminder that no one was good at everything. By that point, there were usually better things to do, or children to usher out of the adults' room, so conversation rarely continued on these focal pieces, rather. The unforgivable armor, the unforgivable armor and gauntlet of howling demons weren't in the house at all. Having been moved to a climate-controlled storage facility across town after the first time their eldest son, Dylan, had nearly pulled the whole set down on top of his head, Marie was glad to have them out of the house. The cloak and sword weren't so bad, but the armor would have required nearly religious polishing to keep presentable. It wasn't like Devin needed them anyway. He'd long ago traded in his aggressive attack style for a degree and a job in human resources. He was quite apt at the latter, nearly as good as he'd been with the former. He was renowned for his ability to resolve inter-office conflict without having to resort to the filing of discipline reports. Whether it was his cheerful demeanor, aptitude for really listening to how an employee felt, or the way his blood-red irises would bore into one's soul, that made him so effective was anyone's guess. The effectiveness was there, and Devin had the positive yearly reviews and subsequent promotions to prove it. He was a devoted father as well, cheering at Dylan's baseball games and making it a point to attend every one of Casey's dance recitals. It was important to Devin and Marie that the children always have at least one parent at their events. And with the hours Marie kept at the law firm, it defaulted to Devin to make that presence felt. It meant having to finagle his work hours more than he liked, but Devin's bosses never brought it against him. People seemed to have trouble telling Devin no. "Oh my goodness, there's a bunny outside my window. Hello, bunny." Anyways, the marriage was maintained as well. Once a month, Devin and Marie would hire a sitter for the children and dress themselves in fine clothing. They'd go out to a quiet bistro, then to a bar specialized in wine and soft dancing. Devin would gaze into his wife's green eyes as he twirled her about, and remembered the steely gaze she'd given him when they first met so long ago. Though her body had rounded and softened thanks to the twin daggers of childbirth and time, Devin was of the opinion that age had improved her in many ways. And Marie's spirit still remained as stalwart and fiery as ever. It was that spark of life that had initially drawn him to her, and every time he saw it flash, a wave of happiness washed over him that he'd held this woman's charm for so many years. Though, of course, one's past never stayed entirely behind them. From time to time, beings wearing great black armors who tainted the air as they walked would come to call on Devin. Other times it was people with shaved heads and golden clothing on a pilgrimage to see Marie. In both cases, the couple would invite them in, serve some tea or coffee, and politely yet firmly inform them that neither participated in their former line of work. If they were particularly insistent, Devin would pull out his secret weapon, a homemade tiramisu cake that could settle even the greatest temper. If they were cordial, Devin would even wrap up a few pieces for them to take back with them. The ones who brought up the prophecy rarely were given such a parting gift. In all his years, Devin had only twice removed his sword from the case in the hobby room. Once had been for a particularly stubborn jar of spaghetti sauce, and the other had been when he discovered Dylan's baseball coach had been secretly beating his players if they lost games. Marie had stopped him from using it on that sauce, though she was conspicuously silent on the second occasion, which only goes to show no matter how kind-hearted a woman might be, there is a level of savage protectiveness that only a mother can understand. Beyond those rare occasions, however, it was a cheerful life. Imperfect, but with an honest joy that can only be appreciated when one has lived without it. They grilled out with the neighbors on holidays, vacationed in the mountains near Christmas, and talked one day of retiring on a sunny tropical beach once the children had started their own lives. Sometimes at night, Marie would wake up and look out at the stars from their bedroom window. She would lovingly rub her husband's still muscular back as she did so, fully aware nothing short of war would rouse him from his sleep. On occasion, her eyes would leave the stars and settle on the man she married, on the midnight hair that jutted from his scalp and the crescent scar that curved beneath his left shoulder blade. She could still remember the high priest's voice echoing through the hall, telling her that she was the one of prophecy, that it was her task to stop the great demon's reincarnation. Marie would chuckle to herself, thinking of how furiously she'd gripped her sword and loudly vowed nothing could defeat her pure spirit. She'd been such a naive little thing in those days. Eventually, she would grow sleepy again and kiss Devon on the cheek before laying against her own pillow. The people in the golden clothing still complained that this didn't count, but Marie knew better. There were many ways to stop a warrior, and happiness was far less messy than decapitation. Bam! How'd that hit you? I like that story. Oh, right, of course, yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Drew Hayes, everyone. Drew Hayes. Oh, no, stop. It's okay. Oh, fine. Okay, all right, thank you. I will take the bouquet. Oh, yes. Oh, a peck on the cheek. Oh, yes. Oh, please. Oh, from you as well? Oh, sure. All right. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Wow, you all stopped very quickly. Yeah, that story, I don't know, like you don't really read too many short, concise fantasy short stories. And I was surprised when I read that one that it actually had a nice little zinger. It was something that I never thought of. What a great concept, eh? Yeah, she married the demon that the prophecy wanted her to kill. Imagine this scene, you must defeat the demon that is going to plague this land with evil. I will do what I must. And she goes on this big journey to fight the demon, and then instead of killing him, she makes him fall in love with her, and then she falls in love with him. And then they just don't need to fight anymore. She completely distracts him from whatever he was planning on doing, which I think is really cool. All right. How about another community suggestion? Okay, so Abe Hughes posted The Doin'. Oh, did you write this, Devin? Or you're not Devin. Abe, did you write this? Wunderbar. The thing on the doorstep. What is the thing on the doorstep? Is that Lovecraft? Galen, this is a fantasy stream. Thank you very much. Lovecraft, we'll save Lovecraft for another stream. I've done quite a bit of Lovecraft on the Justin Reads, and I think it's time for a change of pace. Fantasy. Though I guess Lovecraft is, on that borderline of fantasy, Let's see here. I like when stories don't just kill, defeat the villain, really force us to get creative on how to succeed. Totally. Okay, so this next piece was written by Abe Hughes. So thank you, Abe, for your submission, and let's give it a read here. Ren was awakened by a firm hand on his shoulder. Opening his eyes, he was greeted by the familiar gaze of his father, Dafid. The hut was dark, but he could just make out his father's tired eyes and pale face. With words that seemed to sigh out, Dafid said, "It is time to go." They prepared quickly, and Ren said goodbye to his mother. His father opened the door to their hut and stood in silhouette against a dim gray sky. Frozen air washed over them. As he stood there holding the door, motioning for his son to hurry, the boy grabbed his spear, adorned at the top with a black stone head. He was mindful to keep it pointed away from his father as he walked by. Dafid's bow hung loosely from over his back. The village was already awake and a hive of activity. The clan was busy making preparations and gathering items into a cart at the edge of the huts. It was now full of furs, precious stones, and dried meats. Some of the clan desperately argued about what they should keep and what should go on the cart, but all the arguments ended with one thought: the Duin. They didn't speak as they approached the woods, but every time their eyes met, Ren could sense his father's disappointment in him. The clan worshipped and rewarded good hunters, of which Ren was showing no sign of becoming. His steps were not quiet and graceful. He could not muster the strength to pull a bow's string, nor could he throw his spear with any accuracy. By his age, most of the children in the clan could help provide, but Ren could not. They tried for most of the day to find and kill a deer, but the forest seemed barren. His father drew him close. They needed more food for the clan this winter, and they had wasted too much time hunting larger game. Dafid looked pleadingly into his son's face and declared they must split their efforts. As a contingency, the day before they had set rabbit snares in another part of the woods. Dafid gave his son of 10 winters. Dafid gave his son of 10 winters the task of gathering whatever had been caught in those traps, while he hunted for deer on his own. For the first time that day, and maybe since Ren was a small baby, the father had shown genuine concern in his voice as he spoke. "We must get back to the village with some food before dark, before the Duin comes. If we get back to the village after he arrives, they will not let us into the cave. The great boulder will remain closed, and we will be cursed." The snow started after the two had separated, but it was light. The flakes floated harmlessly down from the sky and did nothing to impede his progress. Ren could easily make out some of the markers they had left the day before. However, at each trap he came across was nothing. Every snare was empty of prey. As time wore on, his eyes started to fill with tears. He trekked through the ever-deepening snow, calling uselessly for his father. The air grew thick with snow, and he found it difficult to see. Soon he had lost his way and couldn't recognize his surroundings. He became sure he would be left alone in the woods that night, his father abandoning him for the safety of the cave. The Duin, with its bull's head and dark eyes, would stalk him through the woods, then curse him and his clan. Everything would be Ren's fault. He yelled for his father until his voice became hoarse and his body gave way in the cold snow. He lay there and cried to himself, all alone. He didn't care what happened to him anymore, and just wanted to sleep in the soft powder. Just as his eyes were about to close, he heard a rustling in the bushes nearby. He sat quickly upright, all the sounds of the forest becoming crisp and sharp as his ears opened. Tree branches, heavy with snow, groaned as the wind rocked them.
A moment later, the rustling started again, and Ren pointed his spear toward the sound. His breath was short, and his heart pounded his chest. Was it the Duin? Was it his father? From the bushes came a quick, bleating squeak. Ren got up and trudged towards the bush where the sound originated. A new-found stream of energy and hope in his body. Caught in one of the snares they had left, was a big, white rabbit. It lay there trying to kick the thin rope off its foot, but the snare was strong and the animal was securely trapped. Almost as soon as he was overcome with the joy of his discovery, he was met with sadness. Looking down at the soft white creature, I distracted myself. Doi. Looking down. There we go. Looking down on the soft white creature, Ren knew he'd have to kill it. He had seen animals die, but it was never his hands that did it. His father was always the one who would grab the animal and quickly snap its neck without thought. Could he do that? His father would save a son who could do such a thing. He would make them move the boulder if his son could prove himself in such a way. With a rush of fear and determination, he grabbed the rabbit's soft head. The animal's squeaks became higher-pitched and frenzied as he gripped it harder. Its clawed feet kicked uselessly against his chest as he began to twist. It took longer than it would have taken his father, but in the end, it was done. He cried to himself and tried to wipe his eyes, but only succeeded in adding freezing snow to the tears. After a time, taking in what he had just done, he wrapped the remaining snare around the rabbit's feet, tied it off, and used the cord to hold the rabbit over his shoulder. He told himself that he had done the most difficult he'd have to do that night. With his confidence tentatively raised, he continued trying to walk through the darkening woods. He didn't know where he was going, but the movement at least kept him warm. He hoped that by some blind luck he would find the village, or that the direction he moved in was at least away from the Duin. In his mind, he could see it peering out at him from behind trees and rocks, its giant bull's head looking at him through black eyes. Then, in the distance, to his joy, he saw an orange glow and heard the crackling of a fire. His body wouldn't let him run. He was too cold and tired to do that. But for a glorious moment, he wasn't scared. It must be his father, braving the dark woods to save him. As he approached, he heard an unfamiliar voice, tired and scared. "Who's out there? Come to the light!" Ren cautiously walked into the glow of the fire and saw a thin old man covered in furs. The man sat on a log with his hands outstretched to the warm fire. His eyes were gray, and they seemed to flicker in the firelight. His head was wrinkled and hairless, except for a long tuft of white beard which stretched down from his chin. The man grinned wide at the sight of Ren. His remaining teeth were long and yellow. Laughter boomed from the man's gaping mouth. "Ask, and the forest shall provide. You've brought dinner." The old man kicked his feet and motioned Ren over to him. "Bring it over here! Let's get that over the fire!" Ren cautiously approached the man, who ripped the rabbit and the spear out of his hands. Immediately, the strange man set himself to skinning the animal. "Quick! Go find me some forked branches, about the length of your arm." The old man made a V gesture with 2 fingers and stretched out his arm to indicate what he was looking for. Shocked by the levity in the old man's demeanor, Ren followed the command without saying anything, and quickly found 3 sticks the length of his arms. "Excellent! Good boy!" The old man proceeded to set the 2 sticks to either side of the fire and ran the 3rd through the body of the rabbit, which he then set hanging above the fire. "A desperate meal is always a good meal, wouldn't you say?" the old man asked Ren, who sat quietly, dumbfounded. "Well, maybe you wouldn't. You're too young.
Your parents probably make sure you'll get fed properly. Well, looking at you now, it seems that tonight is the night you will discover this fact to be true. The man then relaxed a bit and sat back down on his log, watching the rabbit cook over the fire. Sorry, I forgot myself. My name is Alwyn. The man pointed to himself, then indicated back toward Wren, who stood quietly. Alwyn's hand remained raised, waiting for the reply. And you are? Wren, the boy said softly. Hello, Wren. The man's voice slowed and became gentle. Now, you don't have to sit next to me, but I'd advise at least getting closer to the fire. Once we're done here, I'm sure you can guide us back to your village. He cocked his head and raised a white eyebrow at Wren expectantly. Nervously, the boy replied, I'm lost. I don't know the way back. For a moment, the old man was visibly disappointed. Well, that's a shame. Alwyn then fixed himself and proceeded to speak emphatically. Listen, this is what we're going to do. After the rabbit cooks and we're able to get it down our gullet, we need to go find some more wood to keep the fire going. Then we'll have to stay up, making sure it doesn't go out. In order to stay up, I suggest we tell each other stories. Do you know any? No, Wren replied with a sullen cadence. I don't know any stories. Well, you will after tonight. I'm full of good stories. Wren's words were quiet and meek. But we can't stay out tonight. Oh, I don't think we have a choice. My horse ran off while I was pissing near the river, and I got lost looking for it. Do you have another horse? One I can't see, hanging from your other shoulder like the rabbit? The old man chided. Wren looked down, and Alwyn sighed to himself. I'll probably find my stupid beast in the morning, he muttered. But for now, unless one of us is somehow able to divine the location of your village, your clan will have an easier time finding us if we stay put. We can survive here by the fire. No, we can't. His voice trembled. The Duin. For a moment, Alwyn's face was stone, and he didn't move. The sounds of the forest seemed to grow louder while the old man remained silent. Then, suddenly, without warning and like thunder, Alwyn exploded in laughter. It started high-pitched and wailing, then dropped to a low cackling. Wren didn't know what to make of the insane man in front of him. Trust me, lad. We don't need to worry about that tonight. Wren looked unbelievingly at the old man. Don't worry, he spoke directly. I'm old and wise. I've got ways of keeping such evil at bay. So Alwyn kept talking, and soon the rabbit was cooked. He plucked it off the fire, steaming and hot with his quick hands. He cut the meat using Wren's spear and gave half to the boy. The old man said desperation made the food better, and the boy found that to be true. Some of his fear melted away with the feeling of a full belly. All night, Alwyn told stories. They were about clever men, terrifying monsters, and beautiful women. He did so with a masterful flair that Wren had never witnessed before. The old man gave his characters different voices and described places so vividly the boy felt like he was there. The woods still made sounds, though, and when snow fell or a branch cracked, Wren would shudder. Alwyn noticed this and finally asked the boy how he had become lost in the woods. Wren talked about how his village and how during the start of winter his clan always gave an offering to the Duin. They would fill a cart with all the goods of their land and hide it in a cave while it would come and take what it wanted. If they failed to do this, the Duin would curse them as it had the first time it first came. He talked about how his father and he were trying to gather a last bit of food for the village before the Duin would come.
He also said that now it was too late to return. They wouldn't be able to get into the cave. Even if they found the village, no one would be out looking for him since they were all in the cave safely hiding. The old man nodded and stroked his beard thoughtfully at hearing this. Ren could see genuine sympathy in the man's eyes, something he wasn't all that used to. Without saying anything, the old man squinted into the darkness. He sat for a moment and seemed to ponder something. Then he adjusted himself and gestured as if he was hurling some invisible stone into the woods, and proceeded to repeat this gesture a few more times. Finally, he seemed to make up his mind and walk a short distance away from the fire into the dark woods. After a while, Alwyn walked back holding something in his arms, covered in snow. As the fire lit the object, Ren could just make out that it was a headdress made from a large skull, fur, and black feathers. The skull appeared to be from a bull.
Earlier tonight, after my horse ran off, I was left alone to face the possibility of a cold, hungry death. It was then that I decided to be done with this.
He handed the headdress over to Ren, who held it away from his body, not yet understanding.
Lifetimes ago, I wore this as the leader of my clan. I wasn't the bravest or the strongest, but I was the smartest.
His voice grew heavy and sad.
A pestilence took almost my whole village. At the end, it was just the woman I loved and myself. She was sick, but still hanging on to life, and I thought that if I could get just some help, she would get better. So I journeyed to your village in search of aid. Even then, they were known as reclusive hunters, but I was desperate and had to try. Your clan had heard of the sickness and listened to my story, but gave me no aid. I begged and begged, but they wouldn't help a stranger. And my wife soon died.
His voice changed again and was noticeably heated.
I was gratified when they started getting sick. I told them it was I that cursed them. Then I said that those who were not sick should hide, and that if they wanted to survive, they should aid me next time I came to the village to visit their sad little clan. So, every winter I come to your village and take from your clan. I keep what I need and give away what I do not.
His tone lightened.
In some places, the Duin is not an evil name, told in hushed tones around a fire, but one of hope and joy.
Alwyn sighed and continued.
But tonight I've realized I'm too old to continue this story. My horse is gone, and I'm lost in a place I've been 1,000 times or more. This is no longer the story of a clever man.
He looked directly into the boy's eyes.
I'm going to die soon, and if I have the ability to lift a curse, I should do it. I think I've made my point to your people, or if I haven't, you could probably finish making it for me.
He tapped on the headdress.
Not everyone needs to be a hunter. Sometimes a village needs someone to be clever, to just do one good thing and tell a good story about it. You've heard stories from me, and hopefully you've learned how to tell them yourself. So now, you can tell your own. Bring this as proof to the village, and you'll have done a good thing. Tell them whatever story you feel, truthful or not. I'm not one to judge, nor will I be around for the real story to be discovered.
Ren sat with the Duin till the fire died and the sun rose. In the light of the day, the boy discovered where he was quickly enough. The old man, who was the Duin, walked off in the direction he thought his horse had wandered. Neither said goodbye, nor had to. Ren walked through the woods and eventually came upon the deserted village. He walked past all the huts and to the cave entrance. Eventually, the great boulder was moved, and all of the clan, including his mother and father, found him there, waiting. He held up the head of the Duin and told his story. The end. Oh, you guys can't hear the clapping anymore because I turned off the notifications. There you go. Very nicely done, Abe. Congratulations on writing a good short story. That was really well written. Nice characters, nice story. Oh, boobly-doo. Oh, absolutely my pleasure. My pleasure. The Duin. All right, let's find a sound effect for the Duin. What would the Duin sound effect sound like if it was actually real? Let's find out. Let's see if there's a monsters. Oh, Tibetan monasteries. That's almost like monsters. Rare animals. All right, let's see. I'm doing a search for monsters. Ooh, we got undead monster. We got small monster. We got monster laugh. We got monster robo. We got Ducati monster. Oh yeah, that's a car. All right, monster within. Oh, monster within. Is that a thing? Okay, 1 second. So I'm playing with this right now because I am hoping to up the production of Justin Reed's, maybe even the Invictus stream. Might be tricky with that, but definitely for Justin Reed's, I've got this. I've got this new piece of hardware, and I'll just move my camera and show you. So this is called a Stream Deck. I don't know if you've heard of that, but basically it is a streaming device that, like, you know, Twitch streamers and stuff use, that you can assign any of these buttons. There's 15 buttons to different things. So Twitch people use it to assign different scenes for OBS and stuff. I'm going to be using it for sound effects. Like, you can use it like a soundboard. So I can create an entire Arnold Schwarzenegger soundboard and have all of the sounds at my fingertips. So I might actually get that. How great would that be? Next stream that I do with the whole gang, I'm going to, okay, don't tell them, but I'm going to download and set up an Arnold Schwarzenegger sound library, and then have those at my fingertips. So I'll have Get to the Chopper, Dylan, you son of a bitch. Or not, maybe just you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. Maybe I'll have do it now. Or I'll be back for when I go AFK. Shit like that. Wouldn't that be fucking great? I'm just gonna have that. I gotta have that. Oh my god. Oh, it's gonna be good. So anyways, you have that to look forward to. Open file location. Oh my goodness, there's an entire monster library. Oh, oh. Fucking A. All right. A whole story read by Arnold. Yeah, I could do that for you. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll try it. Yeah, it's not going to be easy because it's hard to stay in an Arnold accent, but I'll try to do it. Yeah. Okay, so we've got a bunch of monster sounds here. Okay, we've got automaton. Oh, let me turn on the sounds. This is automaton. Yes. Okay, vocal react automaton. Oh, fuck. You know what sound that is? That's the basilisk. This is the basilisk sound.
Well, yeah, worst case scenario becomes John C. Riley. He's going to be John C. Schwarzenegger. Yeah. Okay, and then we've got bearer. I don't know what a bearer is. Okay, let's try taunt. Oh, that one's good. I like that one. Oh, cool. What is a bearer? I'm going to look that up. Oh, a hell bearer, plague bearer. Okay, I like it. We've also got the expector. Oh my god, I love you. All right, we've got heartless. Okay. It's just a chomper. We've got hunter. Whoa. Nice. We've got leech. Okay. Oh, nice. That's great. I just wish it was a little bit longer. I guess you can like put on some reverbs and stuff. That's a prowler. That's cool. Whoa. Fucking okay. That's a prowler again. All right, we got slasher. Oh, that was a good one. Ends with that little bit of gurgle. Yeah, man. I'm gonna have so much fun. I like eventually they're just gonna get used to it, but like I'm gonna have so much fun. Oh, just having fucking sound libraries active and they don't know which one's gonna be. It's probably gonna get annoying at some point, but hey. Yeah, there we go. After a 17-hour day, this is as good as it gets. That is as good as it gets. That is the best. One of the best things in this life. There's also a few other things that are good. What are they? I don't know the quote. Arnold, quote, best thing in life. I don't know. Do I have the enemy kneeling before you or something like that? I don't really know what it is. Oh, yeah. This is the trapper. Fuck yeah. Oh, so fucking cool. Fuck. I love the idea. I would love to DM a game and have like sound effects clowned up for this. I'm not a good enough multitasker. I think I'd need to hire like an actual like maestro, someone who could like a DJ or something. That's a werewolf, by the way. Cool. So, anyways, that's me playing with the sound effects portion of the show. Let's read another one. So that was by Abe Hughes. Thanks again, Abe Hughes. That was fantastic. Excellent read. Are you have you thought about writing a novel? Listen, man, let me tell you. These days, anybody can be a writer. No, I'm not going to tell you that because it still takes a lot of work and is definitely risky. Like not everybody's going to read your stuff and you might not hit the market at the right time, but you can write a book and have it on Amazon and people can buy it and you get a little supplemental income if you're going to be writing anyways. I mean, writing a novel it's an undertaking. You don't like most people don't just write a novel like in their, when they're just not really thinking about it. Like, yeah, I guess I'm writing a novel. It's like it takes effort. It's a concerted effort. But yeah, um, you should consider it because like you've got good style. Like I enjoyed it. It was well plotted. Um, yeah, I think you could write some long form stuff. I mean, it's a different game, totally. I imagine. I don't. It's something that I will do at one point in my life. Is right, but I'm not there yet. I'm too focused on other things. So one day though, yeah, I need to hire a soundboard operator. I know. I'm with you, Carly. I have deepest respect for anyone who writes a novel full length because it's like it is not just like amount of work like sitting in the chair and like doing the typing and stuff, but just the amount of creativity that goes into it because you're not just like writing whatever comes to mind. Like you're trying to have it make sense and like have the plot tie in and hey, Mike Kyle. Um and then like to do the editing and stuff afterwards, like that's a huge undertaking that you can either pay someone to do, but you're still probably gonna you got to do it yourself, so that you're giving the editor something that they can work with. Man, yeah, I would love to be a writer someday, or I'd like to have written something someday. I would like to write something. I enjoy writing. I'm just a slow writer, and I need to take the time and develop the habit where I am writing consistently in order to just develop the habit. I know I've got it in me, but right now it's all about reading. And speaking of which, we have another community submission which is from Terry Erickson. This is a short one. Won't be too long, but here it is. I do not know much about it. She posted it in the comment from Monday. So let's see how it is. And yeah, I'm sure it'll be great. The day Ark the Orc came to Yugswell. The village of Yugswell was a peaceful place where nothing troubling really ever happened. A simple life for the village wizard, wizard, a sprained ankle here, a love potion there, life was good. Until one day, an orc came tromping into town. His first instinct was to hurl a fireball at the monster, but something was different about this brute. He stopped and to look at the Ferdinand Johnson, whose donkey had pulled his hay wagon into a deep, thick mud puddle. He actually helped Farmer Johnson pull his wagon out without then killing Johnson and eating him, as you would expect. Granted, he broke Johansson's fence and scattered his sheep across O'Brien's wheat fields, but he was trying to help people. Like, he was civilized. By the time Wilbur the Wizard had made it to the square, the orc was lumbering down the street as people scurried into their homes, like mice into a niche in the wall. To Wilbur's surprise, the orc seemed to be speaking, although at first it sounded more like unintelligible shouts and roars. But when he got closer, Wilbur was able to make out, Ark! Good! Ark! Good Ark! Elated, Wilbur went to introduce himself. Hello, my name is Wilbur Azkarat, and I would like to introduce myself to you and welcome you into our village. Extending his hand, expecting it to be crushed in this oaf's giant mitts. Instead, suddenly, the orc wrapped his tree-like arms around the thin man and started screaming, Ark's friend! Ark friend! Lifting him off the ground. In a wheezy voice, as the air was forced from his lungs, Please Dear fellow humans aren't so sturdy. Would you set me down? In response, the orc dropped Wilbur, who stumbled backwards and fell into a trough, soaking his spider silk robe. Faster than he thought an orc could move, Ark reached out, grabbed him by the shoulders, and pulled him up. But seeing as Wilbur didn't weigh that much, he accidentally tossed him into Johnson's hay wagon, which was just coming down the street. With some hoops and whoops, the orc flung his hand in blind, looking for the wizard in the haystack. "Easy there, pal!" shouted Wilbur, rolling out of the hay, pointed hat now bent over and straw sticking out of his collar. "Look here, I'll be your friend, but there are stipulations. First, no more hugs. Second, you're gonna have to learn common better. And third, well, let's get you dressed before we try to explain what naked means." The unlikely pair made their way back to the tower, while the people of the town stared and whispered. That's cute. Thank you, Terry. Just a short little tale about Wilbur the Wizard and an orc named Ark. A naked orc at that. Which raises some questions. Does it? Doesn't need to. Well, there you have it. There you have it. Those are the community submissions. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Aid. Thank you, Galen. Yes. I knew there was one more. Beautiful. Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was stumbling a little in that last script because I am getting a little tired. I'm getting a bit sleepy. So we're probably not going to do the full 3 hours today. We'll be ending early. But before we do, I'm going to read for you the next chapter out of the code, or a chapter, because some of you guys are reading it, some of you aren't. A show of hands, who is reading the code, Harlan's book? I'm pretty sure Carly has read through it. You've been following along. You finished. I'm jealous. I've had it for so long, and I've just been like reading so many other things that yeah, Harlan wrote a book. Harlan wrote a book. It's up on Royal Road. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to fully read it because I've been trying to edit at the same time, and that slows me down. Just trying to clean it up so that when I narrate, it's a little bit easier. I've been narrating it as well. I do have a link for you. There it is. You listen to the audiobook. Yeah, so the audiobook, I had to take a break for a while from posting, but more posts. Oops. They're starting to come up. I'll be doing more next week. The code, the Invictus stream. Yeah, so chapter 13 went up. Did chapter 12 not go up? 1 second here. My channel. Oh, we're missing chapter 12. Dumb, it didn't upload. Okay, I'm going to have to upload that after the stream. But, guys, check it out. So this book is a lit RPG. This is Harlan's first book. And he basically wanted to write a book, and it coincided with me being over at his house. And I was like, hey, like, you should write a book about that's lit RPG because it's a really popular genre right now. And I was thinking he would go like a horror route with it because we know that he's a very talented horror writer. But he didn't. He ended up going with more of like a young adult, like, heartfelt route, which I think turns out really nice. So this is available on Royal Road. Like I said, you can find it on YouTube. The YouTubes. Oh, the tube of you. Thank you, Mike. Glad you're enjoying the audiobook. Yeah, sorry about chapter 12. I don't know. I know it was struggling to upload, but I figured it just needed some time. Apparently, I was wrong. Which never happens. I tell you. Oh. I think he might go self-publish, Galen. I think he's going to do a self-publish route and kind of learn about that process. But I don't know. You should speak with him though. He might be interested in that. Bum, 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 bum. All right. Well, I'm going to read a little bit of it, and then we're going to call it a day. But first. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to read a chapter. So Lit RPG, if you don't know the concept, the main character plays a role-playing game. That's essentially it. Like they can level up and stuff like that. So in this one, it's kind of like a portal fantasy where there's the real world, and then something happens, and then the main character is transported to a fantasy world that in this case he's actually created. So I am going to, I believe it's chapter 11 that I'm going to read. Okay, and I'm just going to cue something up quickly. Bear with me while I cue up a little bit of music. Ooh. Let's see. Multimedia. Oh. Soundboard. Oh, okay. There we go. That's what I want. Boom, 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 boom. Still bear with me. Sorry, I'm still slow at setting this up. Let's see that. Okay, 1 second. Got to do a little test. Make sure I'm getting the right one. There we go. Okay. So. Oh, that's cool. Cool. I just discovered something. Very cool. All right. You guys might have been able to hear a little bit of that, but here we go. So, without further ado, I'm going to get into this. The Code, written by Harlan Guthrie, narrated by Justin Thomas James. Chapter 11. I mentioned earlier when I jumped the gun a little bit about my admiration for Jessica, my desire to have her talk to me, give me attention, love me, right? Okay, yeah, I thought so. Well, here we go. When I sat back down on my computer, I was hurt, really hurt. I know why now, but that revelation comes after diving a little further down my dark path of regret. Sometimes the lessons we learn take a little while, and we hurt people to learn them. It isn't right, it isn't fair, and I wish it wasn't the case, but this part just happened to work that way. Anyway, in my hurt, I scrolled back to my coding lines, and as I studied it, reading each line, each and every detail, I landed on a line that wasn't there before. Jessica Taylor, friendship, true. Jessica Taylor, relationship, true. I guess because I had interacted with her, I had my feelings added to the code. After a moment, I scrolled down to hers to see what she felt and saw the following: Lester Dunn, friendship, true. Lester Dunn, friendship, or Lester Dunn, relationship, false. I sat back. It wasn't just a matter of attention or time anymore. This was the way it was written. For all its wonder, I didn't anticipate the crushing blow reading the code would deal me. I felt lower than I had in a long time, and it was for this reason I did what I did next. I sat up, bit my upper lip, and changed her relationship from Lester Dunn from false to true. I sat back as if having made a chess move. Cautiously, I brought my hand to my lip and bit my finger in a nervous gesture. I considered the implications, the weight of what I was doing, and after a minute, I sat forward with the intention to change it back. Honestly now, have I pulled any punches? I've let it be known that I'm socially awkward and that I can be a bad friend, even in my first test of friendship, too. I don't feel as though I've been unfair to my character or honesty, so when I tell you that I had the intention to change it, I hope you believe me. Mind you, whether you believe me or not doesn't change the fact that I didn't. I didn't change it back. I didn't change it back because as my fingers hovered over the keys, my phone buzzed. I unlocked my phone to see a message from Jessica. Hey. My heart leapt into my throat again, and I nervously glanced at the code. The words true illuminated on the black screen. I bit my lip again, harder this time, and answered back. Hey yourself. I shook my head violently as I clicked send, as if my eyes could erase the message like an Etch-a-Sketch. I was already half ready to apologize when she responded, Hay is for horses. I smiled an honest, heartfelt smile as she sent another message. I guess that only works in person, hey? I laughed out loud at that one and sent her another message back. After an hour or so of talking, I was feeling more confident than ever before, and when she asked to come over, I said yes without thinking. She told me she'd leave shortly, and as I read the message, I frantically began running around my house trying to put things away. I was shoving things in closets when I realized that I needed to shower. I started panicking, and then remembered the code. Quickly, I navigated to my line and with a few keystrokes changed my status from dirty to clean just as the doorbell rang. I took a breath and headed down the stairs. I was sweating bullets as I began to descend, but reassured myself that she liked me, and for the first time, I knew it to be true. I knew it to be true. It was absolute. There was no mystery, no question mark. The code told me so, and as I thought about it, as the idea rolled through my mind, I felt more and more confident with each step. It was an absolute. Jessica would date me. She wanted to. When I reached the bottom step, I had all but stopped worrying, and when I swung the door open, I found myself face to face with an 18-year-old girl holding flowers, except it wasn't Jessica. It was Kappa. I'm not sure what I did wrong, Lester, but I was speaking to a nice lady at the store, and she said flowers are all anybody wants when a mistake has been made. So, here. She thrust a large bouquet of flowers in my face as I took a half step back, confused and a bit startled. Confused and a bit startled, I took them. How did you pay for these? I asked, looking over the flowers. Pay? She asked, confused. I rolled my eyes exasperatedly and took her hand, leading her into the front hall of the house. Yes, paying for things. You need to spend money, gold, currency for things, just like in Dunn, I said, turning my hand over and over as if for her to get it. Slowly, a look crawled across my face, half realization and half fear. I shook my head in exasperation and turned to the door, hoping to catch a glimpse of Jessica approaching through the windows on either side. Who are you waiting for? Kappa said, shaking the look off her face. You seemed a bit disappointed to see me. She sounded hurt by my frustration, once again showing a change in programming. Jessica, I said without thinking. Jessica, I said without thinking. She's coming over, and I turned to Kappa, who was beaming. How did that happen? Did you talk to her? Oh, that's a big step, Lester. I'm so proud of you. She threw her arms around me and gave me a strong hug, which felt strange. I half wanted to push her off, half wanted her to stay, but ended up shimmying out of the hug. Yeah, we talked, I said, my eyes casting along the ground in shame as I thought over what I had done. Innocently, Kappa followed my gaze as if to help me find whatever I had lost. When she didn't see anything, she looked back up at me, confused, and studied my expression. You look sad and guilty, Lester, she said. Her year of programming had been in large part spent on facial recognition, so that I could give her a look and she would know to mute. This was one of the negative side effects of that programming. Suddenly, her face tightened into a slight frown as she realized what had happened. No, she said, shaking her head slightly, but my face told the story my mouth was too afraid to. Listen, I wanted to know how, I started to say, but before I could finish, the doorbell rang. I turned nervously toward the front door, then back to Kappa, who was clearly disappointed, her face drawn down to a point, framing her lips. I debated between her and the door, and went to the door. Jessica smiled wide when I opened the door and took a half step inside. The feeling I had at the bottom of the stairs was all but gone with Kappa a few feet from me, and when Jessica went to take the flowers from my hand, I nearly dropped them. She looked at them lovingly, the way I always dreamed she'd look at me, and brought them to her face. How on earth did you get these in such short time? She said, smiling as she breathed them in. Her face was filled with such elation that I nearly told her I had, but Kappa spoke up first. He didn't, she said flatly in her accent, before walking up and snatching them from Jessica's hand. Jessica reeled back as Kappa turned to me and said in her most confident tone, Lester, you know this is wrong. For a moment, it looked as though she wanted to say more. She opened her mouth, but stopped herself and turned to the front door. With flowers in hand, she left the house and exited the street. Was that your cousin? Jessica asked, a look of surprised doubt on her face and a tone that finished the thought with, 'cause she's crazy. But she changed the subject as quickly as she brought it up and said, It doesn't matter. I'm so happy I reached out to you. My eyes met her, and while everything about the moment felt right, everything inside me knew it was wrong. Her gaze was loving and interested, sincere and kind, but hollow. There wasn't a vacantness in her eyes, but there was something about the moment that I knew was unearned, undeserved, and I had taken her agency away when I changed her code. I took a long moment before talking, considering my actions, and what I came to was this. I could see myself falling in love with this person. From everything I saw, everything I read, everything I knew, I could love her. And that meant that even if I wasn't the person she wanted to be with, I wanted her to be happy. Taking away her ability to say no, to not choose me, was so wrong that all at once I felt sick. This time, the sickness didn't make me vomit because it wasn't the same. It wasn't excitement or nerves. It wasn't the nervous energy I had before D&D or when she texted me the first time. No, it was the sick feeling you get when you realize that you're the villain in someone else's story. I'm sorry, Jessica, I said and took a half step back. I was wrong in asking you to come here. She scoffed a little and took another step forward. I asked you if I could come over, she said playfully, and despite the want and yearning I had for her, I maintained my distance. I know, I mean to say, I don't like you that way. As the words left my lips, I could see her face change. It wasn't like the breaking of a limb, but rather as if realizing you left the stove on. It was a subtle wave of realization that washed over her, followed by the flush of red to her cheeks. It was torture for both of us. She nodded and bit her lip and laughed a bit, clearly at a loss for words. And just as I went to speak, the door opened to my parents and Marcus coming back from a morning of shopping. She turned from me and pushed through them, offering excuses as my mom and dad, apologetic themselves, tried to step aside, moving the large bags they carried. She stepped outside and I followed. Jessica, I said in a tone that surprised myself as she went to her car and started it. I walked halfway, then stopped as I saw the tears running down her cheeks. As she drove away, I felt the pain in my heart and the sickness in my stomach from what I had done. I stood outside in the summer breeze for a long time before turning around and heading inside. Lester? Mom said from the kitchen as I entered the front door. I didn't feel like talking, but knew she was concerned about what had just happened. Yeah, I said in a tone that made me wish I wasn't Lester at all. This was me entering the house, Mom. Lester Dunn, your baby boy, or whatever was left of him. The bulk of him is still splayed out on the lawn where he died 5 minutes ago. She walked into the hallway and slowed in her approach as if coming towards a wild animal, nervous to scare it away. Are you okay? She asked in a tone that made me more embarrassed than reassured. Embarrassed because rather than asking what that was about, or who that was, my mom's first reaction was to check if I was okay. I walked towards her, feeling the lowest I had, and perhaps ever, and hugged her again, the second time that morning. I don't deserve you, Mama, I said through the thick of her sweater, her hand patting gently on my back as I did. Why don't we sit down, have a cup of coffee, and just relax? She said in a tone that sounded so inviting I almost forgot why I was upset. Your dad is taking a nap and Marcus is playing on your computer. My heart skipped a beat as I pulled back from her. What? I asked through a drawn breath. Marcus, he's playing your game. You said he could any time he wanted. Her words were barely out of her mouth before I was halfway up the stairs and barreling towards my room. Under my breath, I was muttering no in a continual loop as I reached the top step and launched myself into a run towards my bedroom. I body-checked the door open, filling the room with light, just as Marcus pressed the second click to launch done. I leapt forward as the code began filling with thousands of lines of code, error after error being written and rewritten, line after line, until I was no longer standing at my computer. I was standing by a lone rock, next to a fallen tree in the world I had created. Done didn't just become a reality. It became the whole world's reality, the whole universe's reality, and everything I knew and loved was gone. Done. The end. That's chapter 11. Not bad, eh? Cool story, eh? Cool story, eh? I mean, it's kind of tough. Like, you didn't have a lot of context. Like, if you were just checking it out, like, just this is the first time you've heard it. But I highly recommend that you check it out and read from the beginning. The whole book is available for free on Royal Road. That may change if Harlan decides to publish. When he decides to publish, he might take that book down. So if you're looking for something to read, if you're looking to support my main man Harlan, then this is a good way to do it. And let him know what you think. Let him know what you like about it. There you go. When your game world overrates the real one. Congratulations, you played yourself. Pretty much. Oh. Well. Did I see the Canadian Borg pic you posted? No, I did not. Where did you post that? I don't see it. Is it up above? Oh, wait. No, not the Mike the Bassist Terminator one. Can you share it again? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the curtain hall, the curtain is closing, and we've reached the end of the show. Okay, now you posted it on Facebook, eh? That's not the right page. The Invictus stream. The Borg. I don't see it. Oh, we are the Canadian Borg. Resistance would be impolite. Please wait to be assimilated. Pour l'assimilation en français. Veuillez appuyer. That's great. Oh, so good. All right, my soft palate's getting itchy. Which means I need to stop. Well, it's time to end things. Thank you all very much for joining me this evening. Yeah, thanks all for hanging out. I hope you all enjoyed the show. Everybody's filing out of the theater in an orderly fashion. Some people are staying back and talking about their programs, but I got to get out of here. The trumpet player is just jamming. Yeah, he's just hanging out back there, enjoying himself. He really should stop once the show's over. He should stop. Okay, well, how about just one more round of applause here? Let me just pull that up here. Oh man, I'm gonna have to set this thing up. Whatever. You know what applause sounds like. Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you all for all your submissions. Abe Hughes, Galen, and Terry Erickson, also Harlan Guthrie. Thank you all for contributing your stuff. And if you have anything that you've written that it isn't fantasy or isn't horror or whatever, but you would like to have it read on Justin Reed's stuff, let me know. Please send it over to me. I would love to read it on the air. I enjoy the most when I'm reading community contribution stuff. So thank you all very much once again. Thank you to Hillary. What's her name? Not Hillary Swank. Oh fuck, what's her name? Helen. Not Glenn Close. Oh fuck, what is that lady's name? What is that lady's name? She's like the best actress in Hollywood, and she played Julia Childs. This is really bothering me. Oh, it came to me. It came to me. Why can't I picture her name? But Meryl Streep. Meryl. I was way off with Helen. All right. Oh.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have yourselves a wonderful night. And as my good friend
Colin Bro always likes to say, "Oh, hey, Colin, how's it going? Missed you all night. But thanks for stopping by at the end." As Colin Bro likes to say, let's wait for this delay. Or Colin Burkhardt. We'll accept any Colin at this point. Good night, all, he says. Good night.